Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Hoffman.
There we go. Very good. And welcome to the Rosen family. Shabbat Shalom, Rosen family. Hi, everybody. Good morning. What an honor it is to celebrate with all of you on this Shabbat, as Hannah, who's standing before the podium, is going to be leading us in prayer and chanting from the Torah and the Haftarah and teaching us this morning and celebrating with all of us as she has become a member of our adult community, and we embrace her as a wonderful contribution to the Jewish people. Mazel tov. It's a joy to celebrate with you, and we're ready to begin our Shabbat services. So we'll see you a little later. Go ahead and take your seats and get your seat of cream. And Cantor Baron, Shabbat Shalom, whenever you're ready.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. I am ready, and I thought I would start with a warm-up this morning, something to welcome everybody out there. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu. Ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, v'ani brov chastecha, avu beitecha, eshtachavel heichal kodechecha, v'yiratecha. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, Adonai ahavti, me'yom meitecha, u'mekom mishkan kevodecha, kevodecha, ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael.
We begin our prayers this morning first by warming up our bodies and our minds and our hearts with the prayers of Birchot HaShachar, the opening blessings of the morning, the blessings of the day. They begin on page 65.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech vivina lehavchin ben yom uben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael betifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten la yaef koach. ותננו היום ובכל יום, לכנו לחסד ולרחמים בעיניך, ובעיני כל רואינו, ותגמלנו חסדים טובים. ברוך אתה אדוני, גומל חסדים טובים לעמו ישראל.
We continue now with Baruch She'amar, words of song that begin our preparations on page 83. We invite Cantor Baron to continue leading us.
Baruch She'amar v'chaya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch Oseh Bereshit, Baruch Omer v'Oseh, Baruch Gozer u'Mkayem, Baruch Merachem al ha'aretz, Baruch Merachem al ha'briot, Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov Lireav, Baruch Ha'la'ad v'Kayam la'netzach, Baruch Bodehu Matzil, Baruch Shemo, Yachid Cheolami Melech Meshumach Umfar Adeyad Shemo HaGadol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Melech Mehulal Batishbachot.
We invite our Bat Mitzvah Hannah to come forward now, making sure that she unmutes herself as we turn to page 96 in our Siddur, and we invite Hannah to recite for us responsibly the prayer of Psalm 145, Ashrei.
Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha, Od Yahalalucha Selah, Ashrei Ha'am Shekahalo, Ashrei Ha'am She'Adonai Elohav, Tehillah LeDavid, Aromim Ha'Elohai HaMelech, Ba'avarcha Shimcha Le'olam Va'ed, Bechol Yom Avarcheka, Ba'ahalela Shimcha Le'olam Va'ed, Gadol Adonai U'Hula Me'od, Be'Ligdulato Ein Heker, Dor L'Dor Yishabach Ma'asecha, U'Gvurotecha Yakidu, Hadar Kevod Hodecha, V'Divrei Niflotecha Asicha, Ve'ezuz Nerotecha Yomeru, Ugdulatcha Asaprena, Zecheratu Chayaviyu, Ve'tzidkatecha Yeraninu, Hanu Berachum Adonai, Erech Apayim Ugdol Chased, Tov Adonai Lakol, Berachamam Al Kol Ma'asav, Yoducha Adonai Kol Ma'asecha, V'chasidecha Yevarchucha, Kevod Malchutcha Yomeru, Ugvuratcha Yedaberu, Lehodia Livnei Ha'adam Geverotav, Uchvod Hadar Malchuto, Malchutcha Malchut Kol Olamim, U'Menshaltecha Bechol Dor V'Ador, Somech Adonai Lechol Hadavim, Letzokef Lechol Havivim, Einechol Elesa Yesaberu, Be'atano Ten Lahem Et Olam Be'ito, Poteach Et Yadecha, U'Machpia Lechol Ha'Ratzon, Sadik Adonai Bechol Derachav, Bechasid Bechol Ma'asav, Karo Adonai Lechol Korav, Lechol Asher Yikra'uhu Be'emet, Retzon Yeriav Ya'aseh, Be'et Shevatam Yishma V'Yoshiyim, Shomer Adonai Et Kol Ohavav, Be'et Kol Harshaim Yashmid, Tehilat Adonai Yatober Pi, V'Varech Kol Basar, Shem Kochel Le'olam Va'ed, V'Anachnu Navo Hallelujah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Hannah. That's like check. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. We turn to page 100 now, page 100, and there we see Psalm 150. Let's sing a little bit together, the last Psalm of the book of Psalms. Hallelujah.
Kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, Kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
We near the conclusion of these introductory prayers as we turn now to page 151. 5 and continue with Shochen Ad, the concluding verses of Psukei Dezimra.
Shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo, v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim baronai, la yesharim nava tehila, b'fi yesharim titalal, uv'divrei tzadikim titbarach, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקהלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל. להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, להדר, לברך, להלל ולקלס, על כל נברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי, עבדך משיחך, ישתבח שמך, לעד מלכנו האל המלך שוב. ברכות והודעות מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוכה בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי העולמים, יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ועלמא נברא חרותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, מגלה ומזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשא. בריחו לילה מן כל בירר ושירתה, תושבחה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
And we turn now to page 107 in our Sidurim as we begin the prayers to recite Shema and to celebrate Shabbat formally with the Shachri prayers. We follow Cantor Baron, page 107, with the call to worship Baruch Hu responsibly.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or u'borei choshech, oseh shalom u'borei et hakol. Hakol yuducha ve'kol yishabchucha. אין כהרגך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס בלעדיך גואלנו לימות המשיח, ואין דומה לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים. אל אדון על כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם, דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו, המתגאה על חיות הקודש, בנדר וכבוד על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני כיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו. טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם, בדעת בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, להם זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נאה זיוום בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם, ששים בבואם, עושים בהם רצון קונם. עיר וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח עוד רעה והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום, תפארת או גדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש, לאל אשר שבת מכל המעשים.
Page 109.
ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפרוך הסלע, תפרח צורנו מלכנו וגואלנו מאורי קדושים.
And now page 110.
כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים באימה וביראה רצון קונם. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה ובתורה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים, ומפארים ומריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל. וכולם מקבלים עליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליוצרה בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ונימה קדושה, כולם כחרונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו, ואופנים בחיות הקודש, ברעש גדול מתנשאים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, לעבוד עמנו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה, חמלת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו, בעבור אבותינו, שבטחו בך, שבטחו בך, אבינו מלכנו. ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו ותלמדנו, אבינו הרחמן, אמרחם רחם עלינו. ותן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. והארנו בתורתך, ודבק לבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה ישועותיך. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת, להודות לך יחדך באהבה, ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה.
We turn now together to page 112. We invite Hannah, our bat mitzvah this morning, to lead us in the words of Shema Yisrael and B'Ahavta together. Page 112.
You need to change it. Oh, there, okay. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levavcha, ubechol nafshecha, ubechol mordecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom al levavecha. Veshinantam leonecha, vedibarta bam, veshitecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, ukshokbecha, uvekumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayuletotafot beinenecha, uktatam al mezuzot beitecha, ubishamrecha.
We continue just for a moment reading the second paragraph silently, and then we come back together to chant the third paragraph and invite Hannah to conclude with us the final verses of the third paragraph on page 113.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית, על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם.
תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון, ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת.
Middle of page 113.
פודנו מצילנו מעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם. מגנו מושיעני מהם. תהילות אל עליון, ברוך ומבורך, משה בני ישראל, לך אנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם,
Middle of page
מי
113.
כמוך, באלים אדוני, מי כמוך, נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה, שירה חדשה שיבחו גלים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובטחנו בך, יהודה וישראל, גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
We turn now in our Siddurim to page 115b, as we invite Hannah, our Bat Mitzvah, to come forward once again and lead us in the opening blessings of the Amidah, pages 115. And then we'll return to Cantor Baron to lead us through page 116, the Kedusha, together. After we recite these opening blessings as a community, we'll take a few moments and fall silent and allow everyone to offer their own personal prayers and meditations from page 117 through page 120. The Amidah begins, page 115b, led by Hannah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tobim V'Koneh HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Umevi Goel Livnei V'neihem Lemon Shemel Be'ava Melech Ozer Umoshiach Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Mekim Atah Rav Le'oshia Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noplim B'Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Mishnei Afar Micham Machabal Givurot Umido Melach Melech Menid Umechayem Umatmiya Yeshua V'ne'eman Atah Lehachayot Metim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMetim.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז בכל רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים ליום הצרפים, ליום הטוב, ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. במקומך מלכנו, מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. במקומך מלכנו, מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך, תמלוך בציון. מתי תמלוך, תמלוך בציון. בקרוב בימינו, בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון. בקרוב בימינו, בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש, תתגדל ותתקדש. O ירושלים, ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי על ידי דוד משיח צדקך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושפחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Once more, a few moments of silent prayer through page 120.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך תורתך היא באהבת חסד וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום. שים שלום טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך, וטוב וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים שלום טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Page 138.
יתקדם מכנה שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וממכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ומזמן קריב ואמרו, יהי שמי רבי מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ותרומם ינסה, ויתהדר ויתעלה ותהלל שמי דקודשו, לעילה מן כל בירדה ושירתה, תושפגדה ונחמתה, דמירה מימה ואמרו, תקבל צלון הון ובעד הון לכל ישראל, קודמה ונמשמע ואמרו, יהי שלמה רבה משמי וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו,
Thank you very much, Cantor Barron and Hannah, for leading us so beautifully in the opening prayers this morning. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome all of the family and friends who've gathered to celebrate with Hannah this morning. It's a great joy for us to be able to celebrate a bat mitzvah. There she is in the screen. She's there, and we're going to see the entire family throughout the entire morning. The thumbs up means that she's having fun, which is really great. So one of the beautiful gifts that this opportunity provides us of being separate in our homes is that we are in our homes. And by opening up our homes, we get to bring the richness of our family history and our story and our traditions and everything that is precious about what makes our families unique and important to us into these great sacred moments. So this morning is no exception. In fact, there are so many wonderful artifacts of this family that are present that it's worth pointing them out to you. So on the table where Hannah's reading, and she'll be reading the Torah this morning, is a tablecloth that is Floyd's grandmother's tablecloth. Floyd is Hannah's grandfather, Esther's beloved husband, Dahlia's father, and just a loving, sweet member of our community whose presence we miss so dearly. And it is such a gift that we can also celebrate his presence, as Hannah has been wearing up until this moment, his talit, the talit that he wore when he expressed prayers. And we know that today is a moment in which those prayers that were recited with his words and with his presence and his intention dreamed of a moment just like today. And so it is our honor and our joy to celebrate that. As well, you're going to see some Kiddush Cups, which are Floyd's great-grandfather's Kiddush Cups. That means that it's Hannah's great-great-grandfather's Kiddush Cups when he was the president, the great-great-grandfather of the shul in Chicago. All those years ago, they had some Kiddush Cups. They have passed them down from generation to generation. And when we lift them up for a l'chaim and make a blessing, they will be here today. And there is something here from Dan and Dahlia's wedding, which is just so amazing, besides the fact that they're standing here in this moment and bringing their daughter, Hannah, before us to celebrate her becoming a bat mitzvah. It's also a day of great joy that we celebrate with them. So let us invite Dan and Dahlia and Hannah to come forward into the screen to share a few words this morning. And as they share a few words, they'll be presenting Hannah with a brand new talit. And with that talit will also be a gift given to Hannah from her grandmother, Esther. And after Dan and Dahlia speak a few words of blessing to their daughter, we'll invite Esther to present the talit.
Okay. Okay. We are very proud of you, Chana Meira. Mazel tov. You have put your heart and soul into preparing for your bat mitzvah. You easily transitioned from in-person bat mitzvah tutoring to Zoom sessions in order to prepare for your virtual bat mitzvah, but yet very real bat mitzvah. Your ability to adjust to these incredibly unusual times has been very impressive. Throughout Hebrew school, your love for learning about Judaism was very strong. Your excitement in sharing what you learned has been a treat for us. We are excited to continue to watch you grow and carry on the many Jewish traditions. From a young age, you always thought about others. Your caring personality has led you to give tzedakah and do volunteer work. These are Jewish values that will always be with you.
Hannah, it seems like yesterday we were making Princess Challahs in your preschool class at VBS. You sure love to pour on the cinnamon and the chocolate chips. But through all the snacking and being Shabbat Ima, you managed to learn a lot of Jewish history, values, and traditions. We hope that becoming a bat mitzvah brings meaning and provides guidance in your life. Taking on more responsibility in the Jewish community is part of becoming a bat mitzvah, and we know you're ready. We hope that one day you can pass on our amazing heritage to your children and future generations. Some of our proudest moments, happiest moments, have been watching you grow into the wonderful person you are today. From musical theater to Hebrew school, you continue to amaze us. When you were 6, you were in The Sound of Music, and you had to play two parts. One of the Von Trapp girls, sweet and nice, and then quickly change into the older boy, very stern, Rolf, and singing "You're 15 going on 16." And I remember looking at Mommy and saying, "Wait, that's Hannah?" You just couldn't. You were just right in character, and just amazing. This talent, your flexibility, your commitment, whatever you're doing, your passion for what you're doing, it's always been a sign of things to come, and you've brought that to you brought those qualities to everything that you've done. You really see that. Your mom and I always hope you incorporate Judaism into into your life, from making challah princesses to studying Torah. We love you so much, Hannah. Mazel tov.
Aw, princess. How cute.
And now we invite Grandma Esther to present you with your talit.
The lovely Hannah, our Chanala, I present you with the talit that your parents are about to wrap around you, from all of your grandparents, from your Saba, from your Savta, from all of your Babas and Zetas going back many hundreds of years, wrapped around you always. You have all of our love and the precious legacy of the Torah and of good deeds.
Okay, take the talit. There you go.
Wait, is it yeah.
Hannah, this is the last time that your parents will ever get you dressed. So this is like confirmation that no more are they putting any more clothes on you. You have to get yourself dressed. That's like the first sign of bat mitzvah. Are you ready for that? All right, make sure you say the blessing, please. Can you turn to the camera and say the blessing? Thank you.
Oh, should I just, okay.
Please say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai. Huh? Oh, they say it? Okay.
Oh,
No, you say it.
Baruch
No. Sorry, folks. Yeah, Hannah, you say it, honey.
Hannah says it.
Oh, okay. Baruch, I heard it. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvot v'tzivanu l'hitatech b'tzitzit.
Amen. That's very beautiful. Thank you so much. We turn now in our Siddur to page 139 as the Torah service begins.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai melech leolam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom. Harachamim heitiva v'ritzoncha et Zion, tivenei chomot Yerushalayim, tivenei chomot Yerushalayim, ki vecha levad v'taknu, melech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim, vayehi binso Aaron, vayomer Moshe, koma Adonai, ve'yafotzu oivecha, ve'yanusu misanecha mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion ניצי תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו.
Together, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, רוממו.
Okay, thank you very much, Cantor Baron. And now we see the Torah is so beautifully laid out on the reading table. The Torah reading, if you have a copy of the Etz Chaim Chumash, is the maftir, the final verses of the Torah portion of the week, Ekev. And we'll give a little bit of introduction to the Torah reading when Hannah concludes both the reading of the Torah and the Haftarah this morning. We'll talk a little bit about the sort of bigger picture of the Torah and celebrate Hannah as becoming a bat mitzvah and part of that story. So if you'd like to follow along, it's on page 1053, 1053 in our red Etz Chaim Chumash, or just do the wonderful thing that so many of us are going to do, and that just soak in the beautiful chanting of Torah that Hannah has prepared for us. It is our pleasure to call her as a bat mitzvah, as the first time to the Torah, as an adult member of our community, to do the reading there. We invite Cantor Baron to call Hannah forward.
ויעזור ויגן ויושיע לכל החוסים בו, ונאמר אמן. הכל הבו גודל אלוהינו, תנו כבוד לתורה. תעמוד בחורת הבת מצווה, חנה בת דניאל ודליה, ראשונים מפטיר, ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם, חיים כולכם היום, חזקי חזקי.
So we see Hannah's ready to chant the Torah. So take your talit, your brand new talit, and that's right, touch the space and then do the talit blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai
Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, Ve'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Ki im shamor tishmeru et kol hamitzvah hazot asher Anochi metzaveh etchem la'asota le'ahava et Adonai Elohechem la'lechet bechol derachav u'dokavo v'horish Adonai et kol haroyim ha'eleh milifnechem Verishtem goyim gedulim atzumim mikem Kol hamakom asher tidroch kaf raglechem bo lachem yihya min hamidbar v'halevat no min hanahar nehar perat ve'ad hayam ha'acharon yihya gevulechem lo yigyatseif ish bifnechem Tachtechem u'mora'achem yitain Adonai Elohechem al pnei kol haaretz asher tidrechu ba ka'asher diber lachem.
Take your talit and kiss the part that you just finished reading, and then recite the concluding blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So let's sing a little bit as we roll up the Torah and place a cover over it so that Hannah will be then preparing to give us a little bit of teaching about this week's Torah reading and also chanting the Haftara. So let's roll up the Torah and we sing along with Cantor Baron.
Yisrael ve'oraita de Kiddush Cups Chanu. Yisrael ve'oraita Kiddush Cups Chanu. Torah ora, Torah ora, Hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora. Hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora, hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora, hallelujah.
As the Torah is now dressed, we now invite Hannah to come forward with a few words of teaching on this week's Torah reading, and then also some of her preparations for the prophetic text, the Haftarah that is chanted this morning.
Shabbat Shalom. The Torah portion I'm reading today is Akev, and is the continuation of Moshe's speech to Bnei Israel before they enter the Promised Land. Moses tells them that if they remain faithful to God, if they observe the 10 Commandments, if they are grateful for what they have, if they circumcise their hearts, they'll be victorious over their enemies in the land of Israel. Wait, hold up. Circumcise the heart? I have heard of other kinds of circumcising, but the heart? How is that even possible? I think that circumcising the heart is a metaphor for making a contract with God to cut the Yetzer Hara out of your life. We learned that the Yetzer Hara is the inclination to do wrong or only for yourself. That inclination should be cut away from our lives. I believe we must balance out the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer HaTov inside of us. I thought we were supposed to get rid of the Yetzer Hara and fully replace it with the Yetzer HaTov because we have to get rid of the evil. Well, let's think a little deeper about it. I see Yetzer Hara more as the inclination for taking care of ourselves, and Yetzer HaTov as the inclination for giving and helping others. Self-care is not evil, and in fact, very important. But we don't want it to get to a point where we only care about ourselves and not others. Yetzer HaTov guides us to treat people equally, give to the poor, make sure there is justice in the world, work towards peace, and much more. Cutting away our stubbornness, our selfishness, our closed-minded feelings, the Yetzer Hara inside of us, helps us to be obedient to God and caring to others. We are taught to always help others, but we don't want helping others to get in the way of taking care of ourselves and our needs. When I think of circumcising, I think of the physical action of cutting something off that doesn't belong on the body. We're obviously not cutting out a piece of our hearts. That makes me wonder why the Torah would use such a serious word to convey the message of making a contract with God to cut our Yetzer Hatov, to balance out our Yetzer Hatov and our Yetzer Hara. I think the word that sounds better with the actions is modifying our lifestyle, actions, and feelings to God's expectations. Not fully eliminating the Yetzer Hara, but transforming ourselves and developing into better people. If everybody circumcised their hearts, the world would definitely be a better and nicer place. For some people, it may take time for them to see what they are doing wrong and to correct it. Some of the things I could do to increase my Yetzer Hatov, and you could do this too, are to meditate, to be grateful every day, also exercising, getting enough sleep, eating right, and talking about your feelings. If we take care of ourselves first, we will also be able to help others. Now that I am a bat mitzvah, I am able to read Torah in public. My Torah portion contains valuable lessons that make me think about how we constantly have to work on doing good. I feel a responsibility to pass down the traditions of Judaism through Torah. I hope to teach these lessons to my children. Many of my ideas about being Jewish I trace to my Savta and Saba, my Bubby's parents. I am their first great-grandchild to become bat mitzvah. They both lost everybody they had in the Shoah. I feel a special connection to them, and I now carry the legacy that will soon be shared by my cousins and my siblings. I want to acknowledge my Savta's first child, whom we lost in the Holocaust. Her name is Fredela, which in Yiddish means joy. Today, I want to share my joy with Fredela because she never had a chance to have her own bat mitzvah. In honor of this special occasion, I will be making a donation to HIAS, which stands for Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, a Jewish American nonprofit organization that helps refugees. HIAS was one of the organizations that helped my Savta and Saba escape Belarus after the war and smuggle their way through many dangerous border crossings to get to freedom in Italy. Once in Italy, where my Bubby and her twin sister were born, HIAS made sure that they had food and the other things they needed for survival. I would not be alive if it were not for HIAS. Today, HIAS still helps people who are stateless, no matter what religion, who are fleeing from war and who would otherwise die. If you want to donate to them, visit hias.org. That is HIAS.org. I'd be so thankful for your support. And speaking of thanks, I have many people to thank for this wonderful day. First of all, to my family, Mom and Dad, you are caring, loving, accepting, and have played such a big role in my Jewish education. You both worked so hard to take care of me, Saul, and Rachel. Bubby, I thank you for always being there for me. Over the years, you have taught me so many important lessons about life and Judaism, and have helped me so much regarding school. Rachel and Saul, I'd like to thank you two for keeping me busy with all your little fights and arguments. Just kidding. Aside from that, you both have taught me so much about looking out for others and being a good sister. And for my Papa Floyd, who is no longer with us, I will always be grateful. He always took me to Hebrew school. He motivated me to always be myself, and he was always there for me when I needed him. And I'm also grateful for my grandma and grandpa, my dad's parents. It's always nice to be with you. Next, I'd like to thank all my friends. You have brought so much joy and happiness into my life. I don't know what I would do without you guys. To my teachers, rabbis, and cantors, you have taught me so much about Judaism and the lessons that lay behind the text. And finally, I'd like to thank everyone else who is attending my online bat mitzvah. I very much appreciate that you are here with me today. Stay safe and healthy. Shabbat Shalom.
Yishar Kochach, beautiful teaching. And now we turn to the Haftarah, the prophetic text, which are found beginning on page 1056. The Haftarah is from the book of Isaiah. It's the 49th chapter. I believe that's where you're going to begin. If not, then I'll make an adjustment once you start. And we begin with the blessings before the Haftarah, which are found on page 146. Please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bahar nevi'im tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'b'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nbiei ha'emet b'tzedek. Ko amar Adonai zeh sefer karitut imechem asher shilachtiha o mi minoshai asher macharti etchem lo hein ba'avonotechem imkartem ufishechem shulechayimechem. Madua bati ve'ein ish karati ve'ein oneh hakatzor katzera yadi mipedut ve'im ein bi koach lehatzil ein bega'arati achariviyam asim neharot midbar tivash devatam me'ein mayim V'tamot batzama abi shamayim kadrut v'sak asim kesutam. Adonai Elohim natan li leshon limudim ladat laut et ya'ef davar ya'ir baboker ya'ir li ozen Lishma kalimudim. Adonai Elohim patach li ozen ve'anochi lo mariti achor lo nesugoti yevi natati lemakim ulchayai lemoretim panai lo histarti mikelimot baro. Adonai Elohim Ya'azor li Okain Lo Nichlamti Okain Samti Fanai Kahalamish Ba'eda Kilo Evosh Karo Matstiki Miariv Iti Naam Dayachad Miva'al Mishpati Yigash Elai Hein Adonai Elohim Ya'azor li mihu yarshi'eni hen kulam kabeg yivlu ash yochlem mi vachem yarei Adonai shomea bekol avdo asher halach hashechim ve'en nogah lo yiftach b'shem Adonai ve'yisha'en Elohav, hein, ulechem, kodechei esh, me'azareti kot, lehu, be'ur eshchem, uzikot, hiartem, miadi, hayatazo lachem, lema'aseva, tishkavum, shim'u elai, rodefei tzedek, nevakshe Adonai, Habitu el tzur chutzatem, ve'el makevet or nilkartem. Habitu el Avraham avichem, ve'el Sarah techolelchem. Ki echad kerativ, va'avarechehu ve'arbehu. Ki nicham Adonai, Zion, nicham uvurbotecha, Vayasem Ibara Ka'eden Ba'arvata Kegan Adonai Sason Vesimcha Yamat Seva Toda Bechol Simra. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Zor kol ha'olamim Tzadik behodorot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omer be'oseh Hamdaber u'mekayem Shekol devarav Emet b'tzedek Ne'eman Atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emanim devarecha V'davar echad mibarecha Ahor lo yashuv rekam Ki el melech ne'eman V'rachaman atah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el ha'ne'eman B'chol devarav.
Amen.
Rachem al Zion Hi beit hayenu V'la'alu nefesh toshia B'mheira ve'amenu Baruch atah Adonai Mezach me'ach Zion Bevanecha. Samchenu Adonai Eloheinu B'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha U'b'malech Beit David Meshichecha B'mheira yavo Ve'agel nifenu Al kiso lo yishav sar Ve'lo yimchalu Od acherim Et kevodo Ki v'shem kodecha nishbata lo Shelo yikvei nera le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Magei David. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha u'lemenucha lechavod u'letifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach u'mevarchim otach Yitbarach Shimcha Be'fi Kol Chai Tamid Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Amen. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov, Yehelanu, 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 Ol lechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ol lechol Yisrael, David melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam, David melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. That was beautiful. So we'll share a few words of blessings with you before we conclude this morning. We're going to conclude our Torah service and conclude our prayers all together first. And so before we conclude, we need to say a prayer of healing for all of us.
Are we gonna do it again?
Feel this moment of joy. And in this moment of joy, we well up all of our blessings and we share those blessings of joy and those prayers of healing with all those in need. So we're going to sing the prayer for healing with Cantor Barron. And we're going to acknowledge in the middle of that prayer, all those in our community who are in need of healing at this time.
Mi shebeirach avoteinu mikore habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We offer our prayers of healing for Joyce Kishnev, Marilyn Bronstein, Stephanie Free Parenchio, Elaine Burke, Rachel Davies, Jenya Kogan, Malka Schulweiss, Darlene Hershinger, Lauren Kleinrock, Simcha Ben Etza, Sandy Struman, Melissa Berkovitz, Malcolm Bernstein, Ilana Bustan, Chaim Leib Ben Pinchas, Toby Engler, James Frank Silvers, Howard Hamburg, Leah Bakidel, Alta Gedalia Ben Chava Miriam, Herb Aronson, Helen Schweigenbaum, Martha Robin, Rick Meyerson, Chazanit Liba Alawai Bat Mutel, Gloria Siegel, Yitzhak Ben Penina, Valerie and Rick Chavez, Sybil Cohn, Yehudit Bat Liba Sivia, Pearl Rivka Bat Sivia, Maxine Kaplowitz, Meir Ben Simcha Vesara, Moshe Ben Avram Bechana, Renee Jones, David Ben Shmuel Chaim, Jerry Siegel, Sivia Bat Yentel, and Catherine Goldman. In addition to the names that we have mentioned, there are those in your circles who are in need of healing at this time. Well up your prayers of healing and strength and evoke their name as we continue to sing the blessing for healing.
מי שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
As we conclude the Torah service, we sing Etz Chaim Hi, and we near the conclusion of our prayers, following that with Alinu.
Etz Chaim Hi, lamachazikim ba, v'tomcheha meushar, deracheha darchei noam, v'chol nativoteha shalom. Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu
We turn now, in conclusion of our prayers this morning, to page 183. We ask everyone to rise as the Aleinu prayer is recited.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים יסרו את זמנם. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We turn now to page 184. There we find the mourner's Kaddish. It's with deep sadness that we have several members of our community that we announce the passing of this week. We announce the passing of Evelyn Dorman, the mother of Karen Levin. Funeral services will be held for her tomorrow. Also, we recognize the passing of Pnina Alvo, who was the wife of Yosef Alvo, mother of Eti Lev, Uzi Alvo, and Shlomi Alvo, sister-in-law of Valley Beshalom member Vicky Maklis, grandmother of 8 and great-grandmother of 1. we also acknowledge the passing, tragically, of Ryan Capel, son of Karen and Jeff Capel, brother of Sydney and Sam Capel. There are funeral details that are still being organized and Shiva information that will be forthcoming. And we hope that as a community, we all gather together and support this family in the midst of this great tragedy. It's also with sadness that we acknowledge, but also with great affection, that we acknowledge the passing of a luminary in our generation, Rabbi Adin Evan Israel Steinsaltz. He was the author, and his sort of center was the author of a modern Hebrew translation and English translation of the Talmud, which is an extraordinary feat. And with it included some of its own commentary. He was very much, as one might consider, to be the Rashi of our generation, one of the great contributors to the perpetuation and the continuity, but also the preservation of Jewish life through text. And not only did he translate the Talmud in Hebrew and in English, but also published several books, including great works on one of the great Hasidic masters, Rebbe Nachman of Bratslav. And so while his funeral was yesterday in Israel, the yeshiva period is continuing, and there will be just an ongoing expression of gratitude and appreciation for all the learning that he gave to the entire Jewish world. So as we recite Kaddish this morning for the families in our community, we also lift up our affection and our respect and honor for this great rabbi. Turning now to page 184, all those who recite Kaddish, please recite these words with me. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei techol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. Vitadar vit'aleh vit'alal shemedekucha berichu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechemata da'amiram be'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Tehei nishmatam surot b'tzorah chaim, all the souls we lovingly remember today be bound up into the bonds of life. And we say together, amen. Hannah, can I invite you to come back? We're actually going to turn us into the gallery view. Let's make sure that we're all there. Okay, good. We see Grandma Esther, and we see Cantor Barron, and we see you, and we see me. So if it's okay, Dahlia, let me just speak to Hannah for a moment. Mazel tov. I mean, we're just unbelievably impressed with your skill, but I think watching you chant prayers, chant Torah, Haftarah, teach us words of wisdom from you, your heart and spirit shows us that this is something that is a very passionate part of who you are. And today we celebrate that you have confirmed that this is your identity. A part of who you are and who you will become is always going to be informed with the wisdom of Jewish people. So let me just give you a little bit of the Torah reading, the stuff that maybe, you read a part that some of us thought maybe we shouldn't read about. Circumcising hearts sounds kind of like, physical and bloody and gross and yucky. And you took it and you taught us a greater, deeper wisdom. I want to give us another part, which is also kind of a strange part that we want to maybe overlook. It's right in the beginning when Moshe is telling Bnei Yisrael all about their journey. And he's recounting that when he was up on the mountain receiving the Torah, that they broke into idolatrous frenzy and they built the golden calf. And in the middle of that, Moshe is trying to explain to the people what it meant for them to make that kind of decision. And he says this thing. It's really, really hard Torah. It says, as long as I have known you, this is Moses speaking, as long as I have known you, you have been defiant toward the Lord. In other words, Moses is kind of like giving a definition of who Bnei Yisrael is. And we know that this story, it's part of our story. We just finished telling a couple of weeks ago about a time in which we were exiled in Israel. And we mourned the destruction of the temple. And there's one story that comes out of it. It's a beautiful story, and I want you to hold on to it because it really is the most precious part of your identity. It's this idea that the great matriarch Rachel is the one that comes in the celestial presence of God, and in God's frustration and allowing the temple to be destroyed, doesn't see the blessing of the Jewish people. And so there's all different kinds of people that come and try to defend the Jewish people. The Torah comes to defend, the Hebrew letters come to defend, Abraham, the great patriarch, comes to defend. And God says, none of these are good enough until Rachel comes. And Rachel comes with tears in her eyes. And she explains that she was willing to set aside the love of her life, Jacob, for God, because that was part of what God had intended. And because of that great and noble and compassionate and empathetic gesture, God allowed the people to return from exile. So this idea that we are always the same is even something that the rabbis in the tradition began to understand must change. And you, Hannah, are a great model and example of that. Listen to the story that you shared. You have a story filled with all kinds of sadness and struggle, of determination of your parents, your grandparents, the strong women in your lives that made great journeys to make your life a beautiful and blessed life so far. And you might want to think for a second that you've got everything that you need, and that everything is exactly the way that you need it in order for you to live a happy and comfortable life. But you are a part of the Jewish people. And I want you to reread this verse, just like you reread the circumcise your heart verse. As long as we have been in relationship with God, we have been defiant with God. Don't read that as us being in opposition. That is the message that says we never give up. Hannah, never give up. You may find people that can't do things that you can do. You may find moments in which you are frustrated because all of your heart and effort and soul that you put into the world will sometimes not respond to you in the way that you expected it to be. Never give up. After all, you're a part of the Jewish people. And being a part of the Jewish people means that your stubbornness and your persistence, your commitment to never give up, is the blessing that God hears each and every day. And may you be a shining and glowing example, a voice that radiates that voice of fortitude and of continuity of your tradition, but also of your passion to never give up. I want to wish you Mazel Tov. I want to congratulate you on this moment. You certainly never gave up despite the circumstances. And boy, did you come and share with us your love for Judaism today. It's been a privilege. I'd like to invite your parents to come forward. Dan and Dahlia, come stand with us now. And I want you to place your hands on your daughter's shoulders. And I want to invite Sally and Rachel to come into the screen as well. And you stand with your parents and your sister. And I want you to recite words of blessing for your daughter, for your sister, and all of us will recite the words of blessing for you as you are welcomed into our midst as a young adult in our community, as Hannah bat Danielle Vidalia, Hannah Meira bat Danielle Vidalia. Welcome into our midst. And so for you, our daughter, we say and repeat after me, Yisimech Elohim Kisara Rivka
I think we're
Rivka,
Rachel
Rachel,
Belea.
Vilea.
Okay, good. And now, guess what, Hannah? This is a blessing we're going to give to you. So you just get to feel it. Ready? So follow us. Yevarechecha
Yarecha,
Adonai
Adonai,
V'yishmerecha.
Vishmarecha,
Ye'er Adonai
Yair Adonai,
Panav Elecha
V'na'av elecha.
Tichunecha.
Kuhunecha.
Yisa Adonai.
Sadonai.
Hanav Elecha.
Anav elecha.
Vayasem Lecha.
V'yasem lecha.
Shalom.
Shalom.
May God bless you and protect you. May light shine upon you, be gracious and loving and hold unto you. And may this blessing of this day of becoming about mitzvah always shine a path to you, a path towards shalom, a wholeness. And we say together, amen. One more blessing for all of us together, the Shakhianu Prayer. Let's recite. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'higianu Lazman Hazeh. Amen. Amen. Mazel tov. Catch a bear and sing us a little mazel tov as we conclude our prayers today.
Simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, Yehela. Yain la 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 la, yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'et nasa v'chepso kol. Adai melech shemo nikra, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la. Ve'acharei tiklot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh v'tifara. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la. Ve'yado avkin ruchi, ve'eti shan ve'yira, ve'imruchi gaviyati, Adonai li velo ira. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Shabbat shalom.
We now invite Hannah to recite the blessings of Kiddush and Amotzi as we conclude today. So bring those very special family Kiddush cups as we sing Vishamru and Kiddush and Hamotzi and conclude today.
Yeah. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו Sabri Gavuratai Varabotai.
Baruch. There you go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen. Sip away. See,
Yeah.
that's definitely juice.
Yes.
You can tell, because usually the sweet wine, everybody takes a sip and they go. By the way, you know, I'm a grown adult, and when I take a sip of that stuff, I also go. All right, and hamotzi.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Uncover the challah. Put the kiddush down.
Okay.
Put the juice down. Uncover the challah. Take the challah in your hands and say the blessing.
Everyone put your hand on the
Yeah.
collar, but put your,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Mazel tov. Thank you to all of our participants on Facebook and YouTube. Please continue to join us at all the Great Valley Beth Shalom activities, including in about 15 minutes, we'll have Rabbi Hillel Silverman teaching a little bit of Torah reading this week. So Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.